Hey guys, I just wanted to give you a quick update as to where I'm at with the bus because it's been quite a while since I did any major work on it. The bus conversion's pretty much been on hold for the last couple of months. The main reason being that the certificate of inspection was due. Now, if you're not aware, my bus is registered in Queensland. All heavy vehicles in Queensland have to have an annual roadworthy inspection, and unless you've got a current certificate of inspection that says your vehicle has passed that, then your registration is not valid. So it's really important that you pass that each year. And my bus was actually due for its COI this month. So I wanted to spend a bit of time making sure I had everything right so that she passed that inspection. So there's a few things that have been done to the bus. The big one is that I got a full set of new tyres. The tyres that were on the bus when I bought it were pretty crappy. They were all very old, like many years old. They had a lot of little side cracks in the walls. They just didn't look very good condition at all. And I knew even when I bought the bus that I would have to replace the tyres before I hit the road. So that was always my plan. But because the COI is due now and I knew that the tyres wouldn't pass that inspection, I just had to bite the bullet and spend the money now. Even though it was a lot of money, I've now got 6 brand new tyres on the bus. And if I take good care of them, they should last me for many years. So that was a big job that got ticked off last month. And the other thing that I did was, and I actually just posted a video about this last week, I replaced the reflective safety markers on the back of the bus because again, the ones that were there were very worn and old and actually some of them weren't legal the way they'd been put on. So I wanted to make sure I got all that tidied up and had proper legal stickers on to pass the inspection. So I did those things, and there are a few other things that my mechanic's been doing. So nothing major on the bus. The big things were in relation really to the air tanks. So I had a bit of an air leak, and there was actually several air leaks. So there was a bit of hose that needed replacing, and a couple of the valves on one of the air tanks were clogged up and just not working and leaking air. So they've all been cleaned up and replaced. The mechanic even put proper pull cords on the valves of my air tanks so that I don't, because previously I had to actually crawl under the bus to try and bleed the air tanks, which is, a nightmare. So now I've got proper pull cords I can just reach from standing on the side of the bus, so that makes them really easy to bleed. So that was a nice little job to have done as well. What else? The brakes have been adjusted. So the brakes were working okay before, but they just could have been better. So he's improved those, which I'm very happy about. And the other big thing that he did was he removed my floor heaters. So if you saw a couple of videos ago, I did a video of when I ripped up the old vinyl floor that was in my bus because I wanted to get a look at the timber underneath. And in that video, if you saw that, after I'd ripped up the old vinyl, there are actually sections of the timber floor underneath that was starting to rot. And one section in particular at the back of the bus, there was actually a hole where the timber had just rotted away. So I realized after doing that I was going to have to rip up the floor and replace the plywood in the floor. And to be able to do that, I was going to have to disconnect the floor heaters that are in the bus. Now, I was originally just going to leave them in place because the one at the front in particular was in such an awkward position that I just physically couldn't get to where it was under the chassis to be able to disconnect it. And in the end, I just decided it was all too hard and I was just going to leave them there and build around them. But obviously now that I have to rip up the floor, the heaters had to come out. So I actually asked my mechanic, would he mind pulling them up for me? Because it's not just a simple matter of ripping them up off the floor. The hoses that go to the heaters are actually connected to the coolant system of the engine. So the hot water coming from the engine is what heats the air that the heaters are blowing out. So when you disconnect the heater, you have to be careful, first of all, that you're not losing all your coolant when you disconnect them, but also that you reconnect that system so that you've still got coolant able to flow without leaking everywhere. And also it's connected to the demister at the front, so where the fan blows air onto the windscreen, and you legally have to have a working demister to pass that certificate of inspection, so you can't just rip it all out. It's a bit fiddly, and you know, whereas it was going to be near impossible for me to be able to remove the one at the front at least, it's an easy job for the mechanic because he can just drive the bus over the pit and access it from underneath really easily. So he did that for me. He removed both the floor heaters, got rid of all the hoses and the wires that were connecting them, and then because I still wanted obviously the demister to work, and because the bus is 30 years old, which means all the hoses and everything under it are mostly 30 years old as well, I figured while he was there he may as well replace the hose that's going up to the demister with new hose, because then that's one less thing I have to worry about, you know, splitting or coming undone down the track. So that's all been done, and he even put valves on the hoses where they connect to the engine, so that in summer I can actually turn those valves off and just have cold air blowing onto the windscreen. So that's a nice little improvement as well. So anyway, there's just a few things that were done with the bus the last couple of months, and I'm very pleased to report that it passed the certificate of inspection. So I just have to lodge the form now with the Department of Transport, and we're good for another year. So that was a bit of a relief, and it means that now I can go back to knocking holes in the bus and cracking on with the rest of the build.